Hello, friend. My name is Asindra, and today I'm going to continue playing for you A Troll's Fairy Tale by S.K.Y Art and Designs with Friend.
Hello.
So, last time, I don't remember what happened.
Last time we had to stop early because for some reason the internet was being a dupe.
No, I mean in the story.
In the story, I don't know, we went flying on a cloud somewhere.
Oh yeah, we went to the top of the palace, and that was fun. Oh, right! Some douchebag lady was like, "Yo, your daughter hasn't been married in like 12 years or whatever.
Yeah, like, your daughter
You're
should totally be married by now. Like, what are you doing?
with her ganky ass hair and stuff. No wonder she's never gonna get married. She takes after you."
Like, her
And
hair is
then,
freaking awesome. Like, why would they go about that? Her hair is amazing.
right? And then they were insulting the mom because she got a divorce, and apparently he got married to a fairy lady, and so yeah, we. I got upset
Hmm.
because that was not on. And then, of course, Acacia was upset because that was not on. And she went to seek out Demine for comfort. And he took her to the top of the palace.
And then
Okay,
she pushed him in, like, the river, or whatever it
yes.
was. And it was
And
hilarious.
yeah, it was. Alright, so we're on day 6.
Yeah, day 6.
Letting out a loud sneeze, I sat upright in my bed and blew my nose into my handkerchief. My nose is so stuffed up. Moaning, I slid back down on my stomach with my face smashed in the blanket covers, and I let my feet dangle off the edge of the railing. I looked and felt like I was hit by a 10-pound bag of bricks. Alakwa poked her head in my room, casting me a sympathetic look.
Hey, sis, how are you feeling?
Just awful.
Well, you remember how you asked me not to tell Mom when you went home last night? No, sorry. Well, you remember how you asked me not to tell Mom where you went last night and why you came back soaking wet?
Looking up at her, I tried to clear my stuffed-up nose with a loud sniff. Yeah? What's wrong?
Well, since tonight is the last night of the festival, Mom kind of,
Before she could say anything else, I could hear the loud footsteps of my mother quickly making her way down the hall.
Oh, Acacia Pumpkin!
Waving my sister away in a panic, I tried to find some place that I could run and hide. I could already tell by the sound of my mother's voice if she had brought another suitor home for me to meet. Do you think if I lay flat enough under the blanket she won't notice me?
You have way too much junk in the front and the back to lay down flat anywhere. She got pretty.
Quickly shutting the door, I threw the blanket over my body and tried to hide anyways. I listened as Alakwa was trying to distract our mother in order to buy me some more time.
Mama, did you do something new to your hair? Where's your sister? She's, sleeping?
With a moan, I shook my head. I love my little sister dearly, but she really sucked at trying to be my partner in crime.
Well, wake her up. I have someone that I want her to meet.
This is the guy that we threw the cake at.
I'm not sure if I remember which guy that was. So I'm just gonna put on a voice.
Good.
If she's still sleeping, I can come back later and...
The calm, deep sound of a smooth voice pricked at my ears. His voice sounded somewhat familiar.
No, nonsense. I think you two would hit off just fine.
Jumping a little at the sound of my mother shoving my door open with a thud, I heard her footsteps walk over to me and she ripped the covers clean off my body. Glancing over my shoulder, I gave her a sheepish grin. Mama, when did you get here? Slapping my back, she grabbed my arm while dragging me out of the bed.
Cut the cute act. I want you to meet someone.
You don't want me to get ready first?
No time for that. It's best to show him your worst so he'll be blown away when you look your best.
My mother then turned a wary eye back towards me.
No, your worst isn't much differently from your best.
I
Wow.
love you too, Mama.
Ah.
Yeah. Letting her drag me out of my room while still in my nightgown I was then face to face with a familiar-looking troll. Wait, have we met before? Glancing down at the floor sheepishly, he rubbed the back of his neck.
No, not officially, but I did see you at the meet and greet each night.
Ah. Nodding my head, I finally remembered where I've seen him from. He was the troll who passed out during the endurance game a few nights ago. We also threw a cake at him.
I don't remember throwing a cake at him.
Well, remember when we jumped out of the bushes and scared the mom and the sister, and then
Oh,
there
was he
a
the
cake?
guy holding the cake?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
How are you feeling? A slight blush rose on his cheeks. Seeing how easily he got flustered made me want to tease him some more. Crossing my arms, I leaned against the wall. I saw my mother glaring at me out of the corner of my eye, and she motioned for me to stand up straight. Shaking my head, I sniggered to myself as my sister pulled her away before she could open her mouth to say anything. Did my mother drag you over here to get matched up with me? The slight blush on his face grew deeper at my bold question. I knew I really shouldn't pick on him like that, but I just couldn't help it.
Oh, well, no, actually. I actually stopped by to apologize for my mother's actions to your mother during her brunch yesterday.
Wait, you're that woman's son? Oh boy.
Yep, this is great.
Nodding his head, he shifted his weight around while keeping his gaze cast down.
Yes, I just really wanted to extend an apology on my mother's behalf.
Confused, I stood up and shook my head. Wait, if that's the only reason why you came here, then why did my mother...
I think she still wanted to get back at my mother by trying to match you in the up.
I let out a sigh of disbelief. I threw my hands up in the air, defeated. Our parents are crazy, trying to get their children mixed up in their petty spats.
Actually, there's something I've been meaning to ask you.
The meet and greet troll was debating whether he should say what was on his mind or not as he bit his lower lip.
Actually, are you and the prince?
His words trailed off as his eyes studied mine. Are we what?
Have you already been matched together?
I already figured that was the question he was going to ask, but I didn't have a clear answer to give him. With a loud sniff, I wiped my nose, trying to stop it from leaking. Shoving his hand in his pocket, he pulled out a tattered old piece of cloth.
It's kind of ratty looking, but it's clean.
Taking the cloth with a small smile, I nodded my head and leaned my back against the wall. I'm not really sure what's going on between us.
If he asked you to marry him, would you?
Falling silent, I thought seriously about that question. Was he the one I wanted to be with? I don't think he'd ever ask me that. I'm just some play toy to him.
I've seen the way he looks and acts around you. If he was just toying with you, he wouldn't be acting like he has been these past couple nights.
Returning his look, he held my gaze. A steady look was on his face. How do you know how he acts around me?
Because I've seen you two together.
I could tell he was getting embarrassed all over again, but he kept his eyes locked with mine.
Even though you've kept to yourself while at the meet and greets, I've always noticed you.
Then why didn't you come up to me? His eyes dropped in shame. He let out a heavy sigh.
I was too nervous. And every time I was finally able to muster up enough courage to walk over to you and say something, you would always disappear and then...
Then what?
You probably didn't notice, but the prince was at the meet and greet each night, and I also always saw him glancing over your way every so often when he was talking with his friends.
Wrinkling my forehead, I looked at him quizzically. Was he seriously telling me that all these times I ran into the prince after the meet and greet weren't coincidences?
Whenever you would leave, he would follow you with his friends tailing right behind him.
That sneaky little weasel. Pushing off the wall to straighten myself up, I felt a sudden dizziness wash over me as a wave of nausea hit. Whoa, too fast. I stumbled back while putting my hand on my forehead to steady my spinning head. It only took 2 steps for the other troll to be right beside me.
Do you need to sit down?
Nodding, I placed my hand on his arm as he led me back to my room. I was going to say that would be really awkward just to stick your hand on his arm.
Just bump.
Yep. That stupid player made me get a cold. To be fair, you started that water fight.
She did. She was getting a cold anyway, though, wasn't she? Like, I think I remember early in that day, the previous day, she mentioned like how she was gonna get a cold, and then she went in the water. It's like, you brought this upon yourself, girl.
After helping me to my bed, he stepped back and leaned on the windowsill. Laying down on my bed, I stared at the ceiling, trying to make sense of everything. If he was trying to get my attention purposefully and actually did like me, then why hasn't he said or done anything?
What did you expect him to do?
I don't know. Maybe like one of those confessions like the princes do in the fairy tales after they rescued the princess or something? I heard him attempt to bury the chuckle he had rising as he cleared his throat.
So, you do like fairy tales?
Narrowing my eyes at him, he gave me a sheepish grin while turning his attention back to the floor.
Sorry, but you know there is a way to get him to man up and confess to you.
This is a bad idea.
Oh dear, don't do it!
Rolling over my bed, I gave him my full attention. You can just feel what's coming.
This is gonna go horribly wrong.
I'm listening. Scooting off the windowsill, there's a seal on the window.
Seals! Arr, arr. Are those felines? I don't remember.
I don't know. He crouched down in front of me and cupping the side of his mouth with his hand. I thought it was kind of cute seeing him act like someone might be listening in on us.
To be fair, her mother is probably listening in.
Yeah, with a cup to the door.
if her mum isn't outside the door right now, I will, throw a pillow somewhere, I don't know. You can make him jealous.
I can't do something like that. I lack any kind of temptress, seductive appeal that all the other girls seem to be overflowing with. Waving my hand in the air to dismiss the thought, I rolled back over.
You know, you may not realize it because you've been hurt so much, but you're a lot more attractive than you give yourself credit for.
Sitting up in my bed now, I shot him a look. Was he trying to make fun of me? I don't like being teased like that.
I'm not trying to tease you. I'm serious. You're your own worst critic, and it's the fact that you don't realize how attractive you are that makes you even more dazzling.
Okay then, let's say I try to make him jealous. Throwing my legs over the side of the bed, I leaned forward while resting my head on my hands and my elbows on my knees. How would I go about doing that?
With me.
A goofy grin spread across his face, and I couldn't help but laugh out loud by how honest he was being.
What, you don't think I'm good enough, Off? What, you don't think I'm good enough?
No, it's not that at all. Waving my hand while trying to stop the laughter as he stood there with his lower lip poked out, I took a deep breath and gave him a smile. You seem like a really nice guy. I was just shocked by how honest you get when you finally break out of that shy shell. As if remembering what happened the few nights before at the last meet and greet, his cheeks flushed a deep shade of red.
I'd rather forget about that night. But what do you think? If you want him to give you a straight answer, you can use me to help. I'll be your catalyst.
Lightly biting my lower lip, I thought for a moment. I had realized his eyes were trailing over me, then returned to stare at my laps. Snapping my fingers to get his attention, he looked up at me while flushing all over again. Are you sure about this? You seem pretty distracted about something, and
If you're worried about me, don't be. I'll be fine. Though I do regret not having enough courage to just walk up and talk to you.
Well, you're talking to me now.
Yes, but someone else already has your heart.
I felt a slight tug of the heartstrings as I watched him look up at me with a sad smile on his face. Are you sure about this?
Yep. You'll also be helping me get some petty payback at the guy who swept you away like a princess before I could.
He said this all with a goofy grin on his face while I laughed and threw one of my pillows at him. It's kind of sad that I'm asking this now, but what's your name?
It's Aaron.
Well, I'm happy to have finally talked to you, Aaron.
Same here.
That sad look flashed in his eyes again as he smiled back at me. I wonder if I'd met him sooner how things would have panned out. Then there was a soft tap at my window. We both glanced over and saw a tiny messenger bird flying outside of it. Its little feet were clinching onto a tiny glass shell.
Looks like Loverboy wants to talk to you.
Walking up to the window, I pushed it open and held my hand out for the bird to drop the shell into. Thank you. With a tiny chirp, the bird spun around and fluttered away. Pulling out the little note that was tucked inside, I read it out loud. Put the shell to my ear?
I've heard about those shells. Apparently they're all the rage overseas as a new way of communicating with someone at a far distance.
Placing the shell towards my ear curiously, I reached for my handkerchief to clear my nose before talking. Hello?
Morning, Buttercup. How you feeling?
You can't think of a better nickname than that.
You know you like it.
I coughed while I sat down on my bed, and I rolled my eyes. I could see Aaron wrinkling his nose in disgust as he made a gagging sound.
Are you sick? That cough didn't sound sexy at all.
What cough does sound sexy?
Yeah, right. Is someone there to get you something to eat?
I was a little shocked by the sudden concern in his voice. Glancing over at Aaron, he raised an eyebrow at me, confused. Why do you want to know? You're not planning on bringing me some soup if I say no, are you?
Well, if you're asking, then I will. My mom has some medicine that will knock a cold away in a matter of minutes.
You sound pretty proud about that.
That's one of the perks of being a royal prince, after all. You can get your hands on some very valuable things.
Well, if you're offering, then I want something sweet to eat also.
Sweets and medicine it is. See you in a few minutes, Buttercup.
Stop calling... The shell went silent before I could finish. Placing the shell back on the dresser, I laid down in my bed as my head started to throb.
It's a shell phone. Wow, I'm impressed.
Glancing over at Aaron, I saw him standing with his arms crossed, wearing an amused smile on his face.
How'd you get a hold like that over him?
What hold? He's a player. That's what players do. They act nice to a bunch of girls.
Not that nice.
What do you mean? Shaking his head with a chuckle, he sat back on the windowsill.
Never mind. For a troll, you're pretty dense.
Pulling the blanket over my shoulder, I let out an agitated sigh as I tried to clear up my stuffed-up nose.
You know something.
What?
People usually say that laughter is the best cure for anything.
For a cold, I don't think that's true.
Yeah, it's just gonna irritate your lungs even more.
Yeah. Rolling back over, I looked at him annoyed. What? So you're saying if I start laughing like a crazy person, then my cold will disappear?
Yep.
Wrinkling my nose, I waved my hand at him, motioning him to shoo away. I don't laugh.
That's a lie.
You can't prove that.
So you're saying you've never laughed before?
Of course I have laughed before, but it was entertaining to pick on him like this. You said it.
No, I want to hear you say it with your own mouth. Say that you never laughed before.
Turning back over, I pulled the blanket over my head. Wake me up when Damien gets here.
So if someone tickled you, you wouldn't laugh?
I could hear a hint of playfulness in his voice. You better not. I said each word slowly and clearly as I sat up to look at him. A mischievous grin spread on his lips as he leaned off the windowsill.
Better not what?
I mean it. You better stop or I'll punch you.
But it's fun.
No, it's not that mess hurts.
What?
What?
Language, how do?
He started advancing towards me, slowly, while raising his hands up, mimicking a tickling motion. Even though I still wasn't feeling that good, I managed to shoot up out of bed and dart out my bedroom door. Cut it out!
I'm not doing anything.
Yet. Laughing, we both ran to the living room where my sister and mother were looking up at us baffled. Oh, so she wasn't waiting at the door.
She was waiting downstairs and said, Acacia, what are you two doing?
Mama, he's trying to tickle me. I jumped behind my mother while holding her shoulders. He stopped right in front of her, giving her an innocent look.
Is that true? No, ma'am. I didn't tickle her at all. Acacia, he said he didn't do anything.
Of course he didn't do anything now, but he's going to try to. Patting my hands while pulling them off my shoulder, or her shoulders, she ushered my sister out towards the front door.
Follow me outside, Alacqua. There's something I wanted to show you.
I watched in disbelief as my mother and sister walked out of the room, leaving me alone with him once again. We stood there silently for a moment before another grin spread across his face. Laughing, I dashed out towards the door, calling out towards my mom. Mama, look, he's doing it again!
She's lying!
We were both acting childish, but I didn't really care. I needed something to take my mind off of everything. He shouted while chasing right after me. It wasn't long before I felt a gentle hand wrap around my waist and lift me up off the ground. Playing around with him was different than it was with the prince. Maybe because he was a troll just like me, I felt more comfortable around him. Or maybe you just don't have feelings for him, and that's why it makes it less awkward.
Yeah.
Though that may be the same with all trolls, when we gather together, it's like we're all one big family. There's a certain close-knit social order between us. I guess that's why we are able to get into a fight with each other one moment, then act as if nothing happened, carrying on the next. Giving me a devilish grin, he started tickling my stomach inside. I was extremely ticklish, so all I could do was flop around while laughing like a maniac. No! Tears of laughter started to stream down my face as I tried to get him to stop. I tried pushing his arm away, but his arm tightened around my waist and pulled me closer. When he finally stopped, and after I was able to catch my breath, I then noticed how close he was. I could feel his breath brush against my lips as the little red warning signs in my head began to go off.
My! Is that Demean?
Nope.
Yeah, listen. Oh no! Alaqua!
The sound of giggles and my mother's stern voice snapped out of that strange moment. Shoving his arms off my waist, I took a few steps back, embarrassed. Looking up, I saw a beautiful woman standing next to my mother, her eyes sparkling brightly with curiosity.
Why did you have to interrupt them? I thought he was going to kiss her.
Gazing up at the sky dreamily, she let out a heavy sigh.
I remember when I was in my younger years, I had suitors trying to woo me like that as well.
Looking back at us, she gave me a warm and loving smile.
So, this must be the young woman that I've heard so much about. Yes, this is my eldest daughter, Alaqua. Acacia, even. What? Wrong daughter.
Wrong daughter. Reaching her hand out to grasp my hold of my own, her pretty eyes twinkled with excitement.
It's a pleasure to meet you. I believe you're the one who I commissioned to prepare the pastries for tonight's gathering?
My mouth hung open as I realized just who was standing in front of me and holding my hand so lovingly. Queen Gentian?
Gentian, let's say?
Gentian? Queen Gentian?
Oh, you don't have to use formalities like that with me. Just call me Gentian.
Yes, ma'am, of course. I then heard the sound of someone clearing their throat loudly. Glancing over, I saw Demean was standing just a few steps behind my mother. My sister was the first to make her way beside me and held her hand out towards Aaron.
This is Aaron. He's a new friend of my sister's.
Bowing his head, he greeted the queen. With another excited giggle, she smiled down at him.
Oh, how this brings back memories.
As everyone started to gather into the house while talking, Demean was the last to walk up to me. His hands were full of bags, his expression was frosty, and his eyes were hard as rock. There was no trace of his usual playful attitude or arrogant smirk. He was completely blank. With his jaw clenched shut, he walked straight up to Aaron. The tension in the air made me fidget nervously. Glancing over at me and then looking back at Demean, and wrinkling his brows, he... What?
Grammar, please.
And held out his hand in a friendly but cautious gesture.
Hey, why are you outside?
He ignored Aaron and turned his attention towards me. His tone was frigid and flat. Before I could answer him, he wrapped his hand around my arm and gently ushered me inside.
You knew she was sick. Why did you let her go outside like that?
He narrowed his eyes over at Aaron, who stood there frowning.
Don't you think you're overreacting? Don't you think you should be leaving?
Oh.
Ooh, please don't fight.
Fight,
They've already had one duel. Like, they already had an eating contest. That's duel enough.
Fight, kiss.
Kiss.
Before waiting for his response, he turned back around and continued to usher me back into the house.
I need to talk to you for a moment.
He muttered to himself as he made his way towards my bedroom. When we got inside, he shut the door behind me and dropped the bags on my bed. Turning around to face me, I saw his silver eyes had melted and now blazed with anger as his jaw was clenched tight. Must be a horrifying sight if his eyes had melted.
Yeah, just like dripping out of their sockets. That sounds nasty.
Yeah. This was the first time I've seen him angry like this. What are you getting so pissy about?
You! You're what's making me so pissy!
What did I do? Motioning back towards the door, he stalked closer towards me.
Who's that loser that had you outside in the cold like that?
His name's Aaron, and he's a new friend of mine, so don't call him a loser. I snapped back at him while crossing my arms and narrowing my eyes, but all he did was laugh bitterly.
You're really dense to the point that it's starting to get dangerous.
Excuse me?
You heard me. What are you doing letting a guy touch you all over like that? Not to mention it's a guy you don't even know.
I know him.
Really? How? When? Where and for how long?
I couldn't answer all of his questions because it would only make me look even more foolish. He was right, though. I was being careless letting my guard down like that, but it's a natural habit of trolls to act that way towards each other. But he still had a point. You know what? If you have a problem with the way I act, that's on you. But you really need to change that tone in your voice if you want to talk to me about it. Besides, why are you getting so upset? You're acting like some jealous boyfriend. Letting out another laugh, he looked down at me amused. I continued to stand there with my arms folded, not moving an inch as he walked up closer to me.
Why would I be jealous?
That's what I'd like to know since you're acting like you are. I pushed my finger to his forehead to try and get him to step back, but he grabbed my hand and pulled me closer to him. Leaning down, his eyes bored right into mine.
If I wanted you, I could have had you a long time ago. I'm not jealous.
Trying to remain steadfast, I refused to be the first to look away. It's not the fact that you could have had me a long time ago, it's the fact that you do want me, but I won't let you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know I'm right. Pushing him back with my eyes, still entangled in his burning look, I was finally getting fed up with this stupid game. Look, I try my best to be upfront and honest, and I end up playing games like this.
Games like what?
Narrowing my eyes at him, I waved my hand, motioning between him and me. Like this. The whole flirting, not fling. If you like me, just admit it. With a smirk, he crossed his arms and leaned against my dresser.
Who says I was flirting with you?
Studying his face closely, I started to feel anger bubble in the pit of my stomach. I do.
Don't get your hopes up, because I wasn't. I think you're just being overly sensitive because I was a little nice to you.
Straightening back up, he strode over to me with just inches from my face. I could feel my cheeks starting to burn with anger and humiliation.
Just so you're clear, if you think you can make me jealous with some nobody troll, then good luck, because there's nothing to be jealous of.
So you don't like me?
What made you think I did in the first place?
His childish taunting was really starting to get on my nerves as he played with a strand of my hair. Well, if that's the case, then get out of my room. No, matter of fact, get out of my house. Get out of my life.
Just go. Just
leave.
You're not welcome anymore.
Yeah. Finally letting my anger get the best of me, I balled up my hand and my fist hit his chest with a loud impact as he fell backwards and slamming his back into my dresser. His eyes were wide with shock, but anger quickly washed that away.
What's your problem?
You are! Do you think I have the time to be playing these stupid little games with you? I didn't want him to know how frustrated and hurt I was right now.
What games? I was just being friendly to you. You're the one that's been overanalyzing everything.
I was overanalyzing everything? Really? So then where do I stand with you? Am I seriously just some new plaything you were toying around with? For a second, hurt flashed across his face as I spat those words out.
I wasn't toying with you.
Then what is this? You know that tonight is the last night of the festival, right? What other reason would you have been spending so much time with me if you weren't interested in me?
I thought we were just friends.
I fell silent as that single word resonated with me. I shook my head at him. Shoving his hands in his pockets, he looked down at me with that indescribable look in his eye again.
Why can't we just be friends?
So, everything you did and said was only out of friendship? He nodded his head slowly, still not taking his eyes off of me. It was then I realized that what I wanted with him wasn't friendship. I kept telling myself that I wouldn't fall for a player, but here he stood while the only thing that I could think of was the fact that I wanted something more. I wanted my happily ever after to be with him. The pain of his rejection cut so deeply, and everything he did and said continued to confuse me and take my heart on a stupid goose chase. Then why did you get so upset about Aaron?
Because that ugly freak...
Quickly cutting my eyes at him, he cleared his throat and changed his tone, but a scowl was still on his face.
That troll shouldn't have been touching you so freely like that. Not while you're sick.
If we're supposed to be friends, then you really have no business getting mad like that.
I mean, I'd get mad if, like, some random dude was getting all handsy with my friends.
I agree.
Anyway, friends are allowed to get mad.
Not over something like that.
Well, our friendship is different. You can't be that freak's friend.
You know what? Waving my hand in the air, I began to make my way to my bedroom door. What you said right there and this right here is really dumb. If you say you don't like me, then that's fine. Opening the door, I motioned for him to leave. Let's be friends, but I really want you to get out because I need some space right now. He stood there studying my face before he got to stepping. He stopped right beside me.
Are you okay then?
Just peachy.
Then I want to use that promise you owe me.
My mouth popped open with shock. The audacity of that. He really knew how to get under my skin. You must really... Gently, he placed his hand over my mouth to quiet me. His eyes held mine with so much emotion. Everything he said and did was like a maze for me. When I finally think I figured him out, bam! I'm then standing before in a dead end and have to turn around and start from the beginning.
Promise me that you'll stay for the ball tonight.
Cutting my eyes at him, I tried to yell out a no, but his hand muffled my response.
Promise me.
Shaking his hand off my mouth, I tried to push him out the door, but he grabbed my hand and stood his ground.
You owe me a promise, Acacia. Are you really going to go back on your word?
You sneaky little shit.
Please, promise me.
My eyes scrunched together confused as I saw a pained expression on his face. Damien, what is going on with you? Shaking his head, he let go of my hand and started to walk out of my room.
Wish I knew. Just promise you'll stay after you drop off my mother's order.
His silver eyes started pleading into mine. Part of me didn't want to do it, but the other part of me... Fine. A smile slowly spread across his lips as he reached his arms out and hugged me. Really? Really?
Thanks.
But I'm bringing Aaron. My words quickly cut him off as he pulled me out of his embrace and held both of my shoulders in his hands.
Why?
Because, stupid, that's the night before the end of the festival, and since he's already said that he was interested in me, I might as well accept his offer. His face contorted in anger.
You can't let him propose to you at my...
Shrugging his arms off my shoulders, I took a step back inside my room. I'm a grown woman. I'll do whatever I very well please, and since that ball is the perfect fairy tale setting for a happily ever after ending, I'm going to go ahead and roll with it. See you at the ball, friend. The last word I said dripped with bitterness as I slammed the door shut in his face.
I feel sad that my nickname is Friend now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Really...
I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry, friend.
It's fine. I forgive you.
I think that I'm really mad at Damien for saying that she can't be friends with Aaron.
Yeah.
That's not on. That's like
different.
That's like the guys who are like, you can't be friends with other guys because they're going to hit on you and stuff. It's like, have some trust, have some faith in your significant other that they're not going to be swayed by their friends.
Yeah, and honestly, let's face it, if anyone tried to hit on Acacia, she'd hit them.
Yes.
Just smack.
Yep.